Hey, is the boss here yet? No, not yet, and you're lucky that she hasn't shown up already. Calm down, Sam, said Norman. She's trying to stay caught up on her duties, but there's a lot that has to be taken into account. Also, asked Carl, did those people treat you terrible while you were there outside of the city? No, wasn't treated terribly, said Misty defensively. I was treated quite well. The only difference was that I got a break once in a while. Well, you're getting a break now, said Sam, so shut up and stop complaining. He was not impressed. Also, Norman and Dart, continued Misty, did that person you work with get his recover from his incident a few months back? Oh, said Norman, you mean Anthony. Ah, growled Sam. Anthony, that guy who went after Jacob and tried to get you two eliminated from this world entirely? Yes, that one, said Misty. And to answer your question, Misty, said Norman, yes, he did recover, but he went after Jacob because he didn't bother to work with me or Dart. And while he was off going after Jacob, we actually escaped and tried to do something about this. He didn't care about us one bit, apparently, said Dart. Exactly, continued Norman. He was so focused on Jacob, but the second we disappeared, nobody noticed, and we decided it was time we come back to where we belong, here in the other city. And we're glad to have you back, said Carl. We still have two people to help us out with our plans. Speaking of plans, said Misty, does anyone know why we've been called here? Patience, Misty, said Carl. She'll tell us in just a moment. These new people don't know about anything, he whispered to Sam. And they're so impatient, too, he agreed. Times were simpler when it was just the two of us messing around with those saviors, but now we need a whole entourage everywhere we go. Just then they heard fire coming from the distance. Here she is, said Sam. Bring in the alicorn, chuckled Carl. Ah, minions of the other city, thanks for stopping what you weren't doing and meeting me here. So great to see you all. And don't worry, don't take this all seriously. Uzma walked up behind Carl and Sam. Ari and Bert are on their way, boss, she said. Excellent, said Opaline. We can start the meeting without Ari and Bert and fill them in at a later time. Let's begin. And everyone was ready. So here's how this goes down, said Opaline. Where we are is a rundown mess. People don't like us, they blame us for the mess, and it's always terrible. But Brampton, on the other hand, is a great city and home to the most accidents in the world. Why's that? Asked Misty. The saviors, grunted Sam. Nothing but being terrible over there. What a mess, agreed Uzma. Opaline then grew cross. The last few attempts that we had to take over the city, it didn't work out. We had other people who helped us out, but it didn't end up mattering. They were the reasons why we failed and the reasons we didn't end up victorious. Then let's not work with them this time, said Norman. My point exactly. Matt, Anthony, and James were of no help to us, and two out of the three of them will not be joining us this time round. But we have found additional help in the past few months, with Misty and Uzma wisely joining us, and Norman and Dart escaping Anthony to join our team, to stay on the team. All thanks to you, Opaline, said Dart. Without your assistance, without your advice, Norman and I wouldn't have made it out. My pleasure, murmured Opaline. In the past, I have sent all of you over to Brampton to look for the best places to begin our plan. You've done a great job of not getting caught, and we're finally ready for the plan to begin. Sam smiled. This is where it's going to get good, he whispered to Carl. It begins tonight, said Opaline. First up, Dart will travel to Brampton and place a shopping cart in the middle of the road. Then, and a busy crossing like that will be the perfect place to wreak havoc. Shortly afterwards, Misty will arrive at the harbor in Toronto as another distraction. While everyone tries to figure out what's going on, Carl and Sam will sneak into the city and round up every single person. They've chosen not to help us, so they'll be the first ones we will capture, including that traitor, James, who's going to be in a lot of trouble. Norman, you're going to be assisting Dart wherever he needs help. Once I get confirmation that everything is working out, Uzma and myself will arrive and begin the final stages of the plan. Ari, Bert, and the rest of the team will arrive shortly after. Any questions? Everyone didn't know what to say. That's brilliant, boss, said Carl. I couldn't have thought of a better plan myself, said Norman. Opaline, said Misty, you said I'd be arriving at the harbor, but how am I supposed to get there? Well, said Opaline, Ari and Bert have searched all over for a boat to take you there, but there are none available. So we'll have to send you something on something which is less sturdy. A raft. A raft? Said Misty. Is that going to be stable enough to hold me? Oh, I'm sure, said Opaline. So I've heard, but don't worry. Yes, it is risky, but just imagine what the result would be. No one will know what to think. And if I'm not mistaken, the ocean current is going to take Misty to the harbor. Yes, thank you, Norman, said Opaline. You'll be fine, Misty, and once you're there, just stay put until the rest of us arrive. Is there anything else? Misty was still unconvinced, but she didn't want to argue with Opaline. Excellent. I'll leave you guys to discuss the brilliance of my plan. Everyone got talking as Opaline backed up and was met by Ari and Bert. Did they believe you, boss? Asked Ari. Yes, they believed everything, said Opaline. Well, mostly everything. Misty questioned a few things, but I did the best I could. Misty is nothing but a troublemaker, said Bert. We shouldn't have gotten her, Norman, or Dart recruited. We don't need them. Yes, we do, said Ari. They're an important part of the plan, and without them, we'll fail. It's too late now, said Opaline. I've told them almost everything, so it doesn't matter what we think about them. Yes, some of them may not understand, and they're quite nosy about certain things, but they have the trickiest jobs of the whole plan. Yeah, said Bert. We're basically sending Darton all alone to be hunted down. And there's no way Misty's gonna make it to shore, said Ari. That raft can barely stay together by itself. There's no way it's gonna hold her. Well, there you have it, said Opaline confidently. If those two don't make it, we're not to lose. This plan will not be affected. You didn't mention the gold dust, did you? Asked Ari. Of course not, said Opaline. That's something everyone else doesn't need to worry about. Why didn't you mention it? Asked Bert. That's what we're going after this time around. The gold dust, not the city, right? Bert, shut up and be quiet, said Ari. We're the only ones who are supposed to know that. The reason I didn't say anything, said Opaline, is because one of these minions will get too confident and go after the gold dust themselves. And we don't want that now, do we? We'll stick to our cover plan, that we're taking over the city. And what happens if we succeed in finding the gold dust? Asked Bert. What do we tell the other minions? We'll simply just say that we stumbled upon it, replied Opaline confidently. They think we're going to Brampton to get the city back, but I'm actually looking for the gold dust this time around. And if we find the gold dust, we'll automatically control the city. Then we won't have to worry about Sir Jacob Ems. He'll have no choice but to hand me the city and all of the people too. Excellent plan, said Airy. Bert agreed. It's fantastic. No way it won't succeed this time. I know, said Opaline proudly. Now it's almost time for the plan to begin. Take Misty down to the coast and show her where the raft is. But make sure that the ropes are a little loose. She asks too many questions for my liking, and I want her gone now. If the waves get a little rough, she'll make a good anchor instead. Yes, ma'am, said the Diesels, and they rolled away. Yes, said Opaline. It's all coming together now. After months of planning and months of frustration, the plan is finally going to pay off. And you better watch out, Sir Jacob Ems, because here we come. Ha 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 ha! Stop! Get back here! Catch me if you can, Match, but you'll never take me alive. Arr! You get back here! Hi, fellas! Who was that? I don't know, and I've never seen that citizen before. He must be an intruder. I found that out ahead of time, and I'm trying to slow him down. Quickly, Percy, we must figure out what's going on. After them. Sir Jacob Ems hopped aboard and Percy set off. I hadn't expected the first one to be so fast. Good thing I have a reinforcement plan. Ha! Gah! Nice try, Match. Maybe next time. Match? What just happened? Oh, hey, Anchor, said Match. I was trying to catch that person, but he got away. Well, I don't know who that is, said Anchor. Maybe Sir Jacob Ems will know who it is. At that moment, Sir Jacob Ems arrived on board Percy. Match, what happened? Asked Sir Jacob Ems. It looked like you were gaining on him. I was, said Match, but he got me stuck in the molasses right here. Well, we're gonna have to get you out, get you free. Percy, see if you can find Edward and Rocky. We need to get Match out of there. And Match, don't worry about that person. He's not going anywhere where we won't find him. Where did you even find him anyway? He was doing something with a shopping cart in the middle of the road, said Match, and I'm guessing he was going to cause some deadly accident. But when I saw him, he ran off and I chased after him. But I don't know why he came to Brampton or what he's trying to accomplish. You did the best you could, Match, and that's all that matters. We'll find out more when we catch him, and I assure you, we're going to catch him. At that moment, Percy arrived back with the breakdown train. Percy, where the hell are Edward and Rocky? Asked Sir Jacob Ems. That stupid crane isn't strong enough to lift Match out of the molasses. The reason why they're not with me, said Percy, is because there's trouble in the road. What do you mean? Asked Sir Jacob Ems. I don't know exactly, but we need to get there after this. All right, said Sir Jacob Ems. Well, as I already said, that crane isn't strong enough, so you're going to have to help, Anchor. Do you think you might be able to get Match free? Well, I may not be strong, but I'll do my best, said Anchor confidently. Eventually, Percy was able to lift Match off of the ground, and Sir Jacob Ems used Anchor to cut her out of the molasses. When that was over, Match was free. "Now that we've gotten you out," said Sir Jacob Ems, "we best get going." "Agreed," said Match. Let's get going to where what happened. Anchor, Match, and Sir Jacob Ems went with Percy, and when they arrived at the scene, they were horrified at what they saw. There was a three-person accident, and it was one of the worst accidents Brampton, Ontario had ever seen. "What the hell?" asked Match. "What happened here?" "A big accident, that's for sure," said Anchor. Sir Jacob Ems was surprised as well. "Percy," said Edward, "we both saw that you took the breakdown train, and we desperately need that here right now." "Well, I'm here right now," said Percy. But I can't believe this accident," said Match. "It's Leo, Stapy, and Mavis all together in the same accident." "But how did this happen?" "I don't know, but is anyone dead?" "No," said Mavis, "just damaged or injured." "But Anne, we almost could have died in here." "Don't worry, we'll have this fixed up. What about you, Stapy?" "I'm fine, but I couldn't avoid it." "Couldn't avoid what?" asked Sir Jacob Ems. "That shopping cart," said Stapy. I was going along when I saw it, and when I tripped on it, it left me in this place. And then I came along," said Mavis. "I was heading along, and I couldn't brake fast enough, and I hit Stapy at nearly full speed." "Then there was me," said Leo. "I was heading down the road, and I got caught up in this near-death accident." "Well, no one is getting blamed," said Sir Jacob Ems. "I'm just glad everyone's fine, but we need to figure out who the murderous maniac who left this shopping cart." Sir Jacob Ems stopped talking. Then he turned to Match. "You said that the person you saw had this shopping cart with them, correct?" "Yes," said Match. "And that's the same shopping cart." "Wait, who are you talking about?" asked Stapy. "Yeah, who is this person?" asked Leo. "No one," said Sir Jacob Ems. "He's not important." If that's true, Match, then the shopping cart has been here for quite a while. But why didn't anyone notice it?" "It's my fault, sir," said real-life Jacob. "I was talking to Thomas about the latest news in Brampton lately. We were so distracted that neither of us noticed the cart until it was too late. And it was my fault for causing the accident." "How could you do this to us?" shouted Leo furiously. "That's enough," said Sir Jacob Ems. "Thanks for alerting me about this, Jacob. But I have a feeling it's going to be a long day." "It's barely noon," said Stapy. "And why are you acting like this?" asked Anchor. "It's been a hard morning," said Sir Jacob Ems. "That's all everyone needs to know. And as for the accident, we need to get this cleared up as fast as we can. And I have a feeling people are going to be delayed. Let's go, Match." And Sir Jacob Ems and Match walked over to Jacob and Thomas. "Let's go, Jacob," said Sir Jacob Ems. "And after this, I need to tell you something." Sir Jacob Ems, real-life Jacob, and Match climbed aboard, and Thomas set off. "So the person you saw put a shopping cart in the middle of the road and caused a near-death accident," said Sir Jacob Ems to Match as Thomas went along. "That's why he came to Brampton, if you were still wondering." "I didn't think of the shopping cart," said Match. "I was focused on the person, not what he had." "It's not your fault, Match," said Sir Jacob Ems. "I think this person is more murderous than we originally thought." Sir Thomas arrived in downtown Brampton and stopped outside the Rose Theater, and Match, Sir Jacob Ems, and real-life Jacob got off. "Well, at least everything down here is still operating normally, and it's looking better and better every day," said Sir Jacob Ems. I'm surprised this area is still in one piece, too, said real-life Jacob. Don't worry, said Avery. Everything is running right on time, but I'm just waiting for Mavis to arrive with the ballast delivery so we can continue the work as usual. It's gonna take a while, said real-life Jacob. There was a 3-person near-death accident earlier, and Mavis was one of the 3 involved. Does that mean that everything's gonna be delayed? Asked Avery. Yes, said Sir Jacob Ems, but there's nothing we can do about it right now, though. But I'm surprised that no one's dead, said Avery. And Match, I heard you were chasing someone who wasn't from Brampton. Yes, said Match. We actually came through here, and Sir Jacob Ems and Percy had front row seats for the excitement. If Mavis isn't coming, said Avery, what will happen? I'll send for another person soon enough, said Sir Jacob Ems. Keep up the good work, and also keep an eye out for the murderous maniac who's wearing yellow and red. He's a quick one, so you better be quicker. Match, you can go on your way, but keep an eye out. Match walked away. Now come on, Jacob. I need to discuss something with you. Thomas, take us to Walmart on Mayfield right away. Thomas took Sir Jacob Ems and real-life Jacob to their destination. Just drop us off here, said Sir Jacob Ems, and keep a sharp lookout. Thomas set off, and Sir Jacob Ems turned to face real-life Jacob. Jacob, he said, I have a feeling that what happened earlier today is going to be the beginning of something that's going to happen over the course of the next few days. Keep an eye out for any suspicious characters. I will, Sir Jacob Ems, he said. Good, said Sir Jacob Ems. Now I need to figure out who is behind this. And Sir Jacob Ems walked away, leaving real-life Jacob alone. An invasion in our own city is happening again, he said, and this time I'm here to see it. My contact warned me many months ago while we were in America about something like this happening, but I didn't know that it was going to be a demolition derby with everyone involved. I'd best head to Toronto to see if anything is happening there. And real-life Jacob went to catch the bus in order to get to Toronto. A little later in the afternoon, Sir Jacob Ems made his way to another neighborhood, and made his way to one of the houses where 4 and X were. You two, said Sir Jacob Ems. I need to talk with you for a moment. Not now, said 4. We're busy. Ahem, said Sir Jacob Ems. 4 and X snapped out of it. They didn't realize that it was Sir Jacob Ems talking to them. That's more like it, said Sir Jacob Ems. What do you want? Asked X. Don't make this any harder than it needs to be. Now I know you two are unaware of what's going on, so I'll say it to you. Earlier today, someone from outside of Brampton caused a 3-person near-death accident. Match chased him, but he got away. Even though he's briefly escaped, we're going to find him, and he will pay. The question is, do you two know him? No, said 4. We don't know who you're talking about. And we didn't even do it in the first place since we weren't there, said X. That's what I wanted to hear, said Sir Jacob Ems. I know you two can't confess to something that you know nothing about, so if you say that you don't know what's going on, then I believe you. So we're going to continue searching for this person. But if he knows you two, there will be consequences, and it will not be house arrest like last time. It will be something worse than that. Sir Jacob Ems then got a phone call from real-life Jacob. Excuse me, you two, but I gotta take this. Hello? Sir Jacob Ems, said real-life Jacob. It's me, real-life Jacob Ems. I'm in Toronto, and I hear some commotion coming from the harbor. I'm going to see what's going on, and I'll report back to you when I'm back in Brampton. All right, said Sir Jacob Ems, and he and real-life Jacob hung up. I will see you two later, he said, and Sir Jacob Ems walked away. You're going to get us into trouble, said 4. Not so fast, came Carl's voice. You did well, 4 and X. Sir Jacob Ems didn't even realize we were here. You two are very convincing, said Sam. You lie like it's no big deal. You two are good as villains, I assume. Stop it, said X. We're not part of your plan this time. They never work and they won't this time. On the contrary, said Carl, our duties are to send you guys away because you're going to rebel if you don't. But we'll give you a choice. Join us in taking over Brampton, and you won't have to see the cemetery like the rest of these people. No, said 4. We're not doing your dirty work. We were part of our own plans, then they failed miserably. We're not going through this again. What if we told you we found an old friend of Jacob's, said Sam. He's been with us in the other city, and so do you. Join us and you'll get to see him very soon. But X was firm. No, he then said to both of them. We were part of our own plans, but they didn't work out. And we won't join you this time, said X. Very well, said Carl, but we are disappointed in you. Get a move on to the cemetery, said Sam. And with that, Carl and Sam began to herd 4 and X away. Meanwhile, real-life Jacob made his way to the harbor in Toronto. There were a few people there. What's going on here? He asked. Look, said Donald. I see Captain coming. What does he have with him? Asked real-life Jacob. A raft, said 2, and it appears there be a person aboard it. Wow, said Isaac. I didn't know we were having a new arrival coming. At last, Captain pushed the raft to shore. You're lucky I found you off the coast, he said, or you'd be floating away right now. Ah, here we are. Welcome to Brampton, to Canada. Misty looked at the people who were eyeing her. Oh, hello, she said. My name is Misty, and I just escaped from a terrible place. Would you mind if I came ashore? Real-life Jacob smiled. Apparently, Brampton, Ontario, and Toronto, for that matter, have been homes of refugees lately. Misty, if this is true, we congratulate you for escaping when you did. But if not, we'll have you go back to where you were from. But for now, permission to come ashore. You're going to let her roam around in the city? Asked Nayli. She could be another intruder. How on earth do you know that? Asked real-life Jacob. That accident happened in Brampton a few hours ago. Dora told us, said Isaac. Word gets around quickly in Canada. Jacob, said Captain, you might want to make up your mind quickly because the raft isn't going to stay together for much longer. Very well, said real-life Jacob. Misty, you can still come ashore. We've recently had a few intruders, so we're keeping an eye out in case this happens again. Please excuse the lack of courteousness. That's fine, said Misty. I'm used to that. And it's about time I got off the raft. You call this a raft? Asked real-life Jacob. I'm surprised it stayed together. Indeed, said Captain, because the ropes are very loose and they weren't meant to hold her. Misty suddenly realized what was going on. Opaline wanted me to float away, she said to herself. Nayli, said real-life Jacob, I'll arrange for a taxi to take you and Misty back to Brampton. In the meantime, I gotta catch one and head back there now in order to focus on more pressing issues. And real-life Jacob walked away. After Misty got off the raft and got her gear off, everyone stared at her. Look, she said, I'm only here because I'm trying to escape death. Donald realized this. I've been sent for death before, he said, so I know the situation. Welcome to Canada, Misty. And everyone started to warm up to Misty. That's odd, said real-life Jacob. 4 and X left rather quickly, but I wonder where they went off to. Ah, James, just the engine I wanted to see. Would you mind taking me to where the crash took place? Of course, Jacob, said James, and real-life Jacob climbed aboard and James took him to where the accident took place. Excellent, said real-life Jacob. It looks just like nothing ever happened. James, I need you to be aware of something. Sir Jacob has told me that something like this is going to happen for the past few days. Keep an eye out. I will. You want me to help you back to the house? No, I think I'll just go on foot, said real-life Jacob. And real-life Jacob went his own way, and James set off again. When Jacob arrived back later that evening, everyone was already there for him, before him. So now there are two intruders in our people in our city? Asked Lollipop. What is Sir Jacob M's thinking? Why doesn't he just invite the rest of Brampton over to the house for dinner tomorrow while we're at it? Misty is being watched over by Nayli, said Dazzle, and Nayli is trustworthy. But we don't even know who she is, said Lollipop. And she could be working with the other person about how to get rid of us. Jacob was not impressed. Not all people are bad, you know, Lollipop. Let's just be glad that everyone is okay after today. All because you caused an accident. It wasn't me who caused it, said Jacob. Guys, that's enough, said Match finally. We can't allow this to continue. This person wants this to happen because he knows it will make us weak. Enough with the gossiping and criticizing. Match is right, said Abby. Tomorrow we better put our focus towards stopping that person before he gets us. No matter where we go tomorrow, said real-life Jacob, we'll have to keep our eyes out. This person could be anywhere, and he might even have some friends. Outside, Dart and Norman were hearing everything. They think you're working alone, Dart. This is exactly what Opaline wanted to happen. By this time tomorrow, we'll have the city all to ourselves. Tomorrow's gonna be great, said Dart. I'm gonna report this to Opaline. Yes, said Norman, and I'll be glad when all of Brampton is handled by tomorrow. And with that, Norman walked off into the night. The next morning, real-life Jacob got up to head to the city center. I hope today's a better day than yesterday, he said, and he set off. But during his journey to the city center and when he arrived, he noticed that Laren and Bill weren't around. Hey, Match, he said when he arrived. Do you know where Laren and Bill are? No, said Match. I haven't seen them either. Just then, Nayli and Misty walked up. Ah, hello, Nayli, said real-life Jacob. Match, I would like for you to meet Misty. She arrived yesterday and Nayli's given her a tour today. Nice to meet you for the first time, Misty, said Match. Also, Nayli, said real-life Jacob. Have you seen Laren and Bill today? No, said Nayli, and come to think about it, I haven't seen Donut or Barf Bag so far. How odd. Misty suddenly remembered. Carl and Sam will get rid of anyone they see, she thought to herself, including James Almendinger. Oh, no, she said. What is it? Asked Jacob. Oh, nothing, said Misty. Shall we continue the tour, Nayli? I guess, Nayli replied, and the two set off. Well, that was no help, said real-life Jacob. And there's another problem, said Match. So far, I haven't seen Zeta or Harriet. I wonder where everyone's gone all of a sudden. They'll show up eventually, said real-life Jacob. Just then, Sir Jacob Ems ran up. Jacob, match, he said. I need to know where Thomas is. Why? Asked Jacob. My cousin Martin Coleman is arriving today. What? Asked Match. Why didn't we know about this beforehand? Apparently, it's a surprise visit, said Sir Jacob Ems. I don't know everything, and I don't have time because I must go right now. All right, said real-life Jacob. Check the Hudson's Bay parking lot. Okay then, said Sir Jacob Ems. I'll be back soon. And he set off. But on his way to the airport, he noticed that 2021 Orange Blossom and Rainbow Dash were nowhere to be seen. Bother those two for being late, said Sir Jacob Ems as Thomas approached the airport. When Thomas stopped, Sir Jacob Ems got out to wait for Martin Coleman, who would be arriving to tour the city. Bother, said Thomas crossly. We don't have a coach to pull him in, sir. Oh, I knew this would be a bad idea. Don't worry, said Sir Jacob Ems. He'll grow tired of riding in the cab of a steam engine, so I'll arrange for a taxi. Head back to Brampton to alert everyone of the news. All right, said Thomas, and he raced back to Brampton. At the same time, Martin Coleman walked out to meet Sir Jacob Ems. Ah, hello, Cousin Martin, said Sir Jacob Ems. Nice to see you again. As to you, Cousin Jacob, said Martin. Shall we get started with our tour? Absolutely, said Sir Jacob Ems. Let's head to our taxi and let's set off. Meanwhile, Nayli was showing Misty around. You're very lucky to be a citizen here, said Misty. Sir Jacob Ems is the one I'm thanking, said Nayli, and he's welcoming to anyone who visits. Really, said Misty. I've heard some things about Sir Jacob Ems that aren't really that good. You must have the wrong place, said Nayli. Sir Jacob Ems is very welcoming to everyone. Now we best get going. I want you to see downtown Brampton. And Misty and Nayli set off again. Meanwhile, Sir Jacob Ems and Martin Coleman's tour was going as planned. Said Martin, we've seen a lot of people from a distance, but we haven't seen any up close. What's that about? We've had a few problems lately, said Sir Jacob Ems, so we're all on high alert in case anything happens. Oh, okay, said Martin. Anyways, we better get going. I need to see the Bramley City Center next. And the two hopped into their taxi again and they set off. Meanwhile, Nayli and Misty had arrived downtown. The people here are always in a good mood whenever a special event come around as well, Nayli was saying. But some of them aren't really good at meeting newcomers. Now let's continue. Nayli set off, but as Misty followed, she started to think to herself. This can't be the city that Opaline was talking to me about, she said. She said it was one of the worst places, but this place is the exact opposite. Telling lies to me is not really excellent, and now I know they're not true. I don't think I'm gonna help her anymore, but I'll tell her as soon as she gets here. Try to keep up, Misty, said Nayli. There's still a lot to see. And Nayli walked forward. While Misty followed, but kept her thoughts to herself only. Meanwhile, Sir Jacob Ems and Martin Coleman had finished touring the city center. Do you know where every citizen has gone all of a sudden? Asked Martin. Oh, they're around, said Sir Jacob Ems. We just don't know where to look for them. What about over there? Asked Martin. As Sir Jacob Ems turned around, he saw something concerning. It was Carl and Sam herding most of the citizens into an abandoned Sears. And I didn't know you arranged for people to be in groups. Me neither, said Sir Jacob Ems, trying to keep his composure. Now we best head to Bramley and Mayfield so we could finish the tour. And the two set off to their taxi. Did you hear something? Asked Carl. I don't think so, said Sam. We better get all these people into this building and then report back to the boss. Fortunately, they didn't hear or see Sir Jacob and Martin, and they were soon off. They arrived at their destination shortly after, and soon they got out. Well, minus what happened earlier, said Martin Coleman, Brampton, Ontario seems to be in good hands. Well done, Sir Jacob Ems. As both of them stared out, Sir Jacob Ems saw something out of the corner of his eye. It was Norman and the person that he had seen earlier. Yes, said Sir Jacob Ems, but Martin Coleman, I think it's time I told you what has been going on. Why? Asked Martin. Is it something I should be concerned about? Sir Jacob Ems then noticed something in the distance. Yes, said Sir Jacob Ems. It's the reason why there are so many problems. And I think and there are some people behind this. Who is it? Asked Martin. Then they heard the sound of blazing fire. Oh my God, said Sir Jacob Ems, and he and Martin backed up as Opaline, Norman, and Dart came forward. Look who's here, shouted Opaline. Yes, me and my team are back and better than ever, Sir Jacob Ems, and you better believe it. Get out of here, Martin, said Sir Jacob Ems. I'll deal with these three. Okay, said Martin, and he raced away as fast as he could. Looks like you're all out of options, said Opaline. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Now say hello to the blazing fire. Hey, boss, came a voice. I'm here to help you with your plan. It was George the Steamroller, but he had scared Opaline into using her fire powers too early. And he was going too fast and smashed into the side of the Shoppers Drug Mart. The building collapsed and caught on fire right in front of Opaline and barely missed Sir Jacob Ems. Well done, said Opaline while slowly getting angry. George, you've been in hiding all this time, and the moment you come out to say hello, you ruin everything. Sorry, said George, but I haven't driven in such a long time that I forgot how fast I could go. Opaline soon realized that she could no longer get Sir Jacob Ems, and Sir Jacob Ems realized that Opaline could no longer get him. Don't worry, she said. I'll regain my energy, and in no time you and I can have a nice conversation that's long overdue. Just then, Thomas rushed in with real-life Jacob and Match on board. Hop aboard, Sir Jacob Ems. Let's get out of here. With pleasure, said Sir Jacob Ems, and he hopped aboard and Thomas raced away. No, shouted Opaline. Norman, Dart, get after them. And the two villains rushed away. Well, Thomas, Jacob, and Match, said Sir Jacob Ems, am I glad to see you three. I thought I was going to be a dinner-time roast for a moment. That's the least of your worries, said Jacob, because the whole city's been taken over. Carl and Sam are rounding up people in batches, and the rest of them are beginning to round up people when they're alone. We must get away from all this, said Sir Jacob Ems. Thomas, go straight ahead right here. Wait, here? Asked Thomas. Yes, said Sir Jacob Ems. This will buy us some time. But we haven't been down this way before, said Match. Not many people have, said Sir Jacob Ems. Now let's go before we're spotted. Thomas inched down the path and slowly went out of sight. Just then, Norman and Dart raced down the same road that they went down and followed after them. but they didn't notice the path leading off into the other direction. Meanwhile, Thomas worked his way down the path towards the forest. "Are you sure this is safe?" he asked. "I'm sure," said Sir Jacob Ems. "Gordon is a lot louder of an engine than you." "What does Gordon have to do with any of this?" asked Jacob. "You'll find out in just a moment," said Sir Jacob Ems. When Thomas came to a stop where Sir Jacob Ems told him to stop, Sir Jacob Ems, real-life Jacob, and Match got out, and Jacob, Thomas, and Match gasped at the sight that lay before them. It was the guarding Scotsmen. "Whoa," said Jacob. "The guarding Scotsmen are here. Well, this is surely something, but where have you guys been all this time?" "Right here," said the first guarding Scotsman. "This is where we're always at." "Yes," said Sir Jacob Ems, "the guarding Scotsmen are the guards." "For what?" asked Thomas. "The gold dust," said Sir Jacob Ems. "Wait, it's all in the forest?" asked Thomas. "Yes," said Sir Jacob Ems. "It has been safe here for many years, all thanks to these three right here." "We've always wondered where you went," said Thomas. "We remember seeing you guys a few years ago, but no one has seen you since." "Indeed," said the second guarding Scotsman. "When Sir Jacob Ems originally approached us about this idea, we were very hesitant because we wanted to be useful. But he assured us that this is the most useful job in the world." "Indeed it is," said Match. "But don't you guys hate being here by yourselves?" "We're not as lonely as you think," said the third guarding Scotsman. "We've had a visitor aside from Sir Jacob Ems since we've been here." "And who comes to visit you?" asked Jacob. "Gordon," said the guarding Scotsman. "It all makes sense now," said Thomas. "That's why we've seen Gordon come down here. We thought he was hiding something, but he was just seeing you guys." "It's great to see you again, Jacob, Thomas, and Match," said the guarding Scotsman. "But Sir Jacob Ems, why have you brought them here? Is something going on?" "Yes," said Sir Jacob Ems, "something major indeed. Opaline and her team have captured some of the citizens and are in process of taking over the city. It will only be a matter of time before Jacob, Thomas, and Match aren't accounted for, and they send someone to look for us." "Don't worry," said the guarding Scotsman. "I'm sure we'll be safe back here." "No," said Sir Jacob Ems, "we aren't. Opaline isn't looking for me, or Thomas, Jacob, and Match, or fire, or anything that she has been in the past. She wants complete control of the city. And that means she wants the gold dust," said real-life Jacob. "Wait, how do you know this?" asked Sir Jacob Ems. "A few months ago, one of her contacts told me that this plan would happen," said real-life Jacob, "but she said it'd be bigger with more help. But why would Opaline want to take over the city? She and her minions got control of it in the past, but there was something they were missing, something that they didn't end up getting." "It must have been the gold dust," said Thomas. "Well, we can't let them get back here," said Match. "They'll know where it's at." "Yes," said Sir Jacob Ems, "we can't let them get back here, but they can't get rid of all the gold dust if it's all not right here." "What do you suggest we do?" asked the guarding Scotsman. "We're going to separate the lock from the key," said Sir Jacob Ems. "Thomas, Jacob, and Match, I need all three of you to find something that can carry the gold dust. Then we'll fill it up, and then you'll find a place to hide it from the rest of the gold dust. Can you guys do that?" "We'll certainly try," said real-life Jacob. "Excellent," said Sir Jacob Ems. "I'll stay here with the guarding Scotsman in case Opaline and her team make the plan go awry." Good luck, Jacob, said the guarding Scotsman. You, Thomas, and Match are going to need it. And Jacob and Match hopped aboard and Thomas puffed away. When they arrived outside of the forest, they were ready for to put their plan into action. This is going to be our biggest job yet, said Thomas. Hopefully we can save the city. Just then they heard something coming from a distance. Ah, it's great to be back, came a voice. Around the corner came their old rival, Anthony. Oh no, said Thomas. Anthony is back. How could he? Oh, be quiet, said Joseph. There's no one around here to listen to you. No need to be so noisy, added Harry. You're always trying to make everything into an introduction, huffed Bert. Yes, I do, said Anthony. Ever since I recovered from what happened a few months ago, I've been better than ever before. Oh, here we go, said Joseph, Harry, and Bert. After my last run-in with Sir Jacob Adams and his crew, I had no choice but to turn over to your go back to your leader, Opaline. She was so impressed with how the plan almost succeeded that I received the best treatment free of charge. How wonderful, said Joseph. He was not impressed. Well, now that we're in Brampton and I'm officially the second in command, I'd say we head straight to the city center. What a wonderful idea, said Harry and Bert. To the city center, shouted Anthony, and he set off. Joseph, Harry, and Bert followed closely behind. How could he return again? Asked Jacob. No wonder we never see him anymore, said Match. He's one of the most obsessed citizens that we've ever met. Hey guys, said Pencil. Over here. Pencil, said Thomas. We didn't see you there. Do you know where Martin Coleman is? Asked Jacob. No, said Pencil. I haven't seen him since what happened earlier. I'm sure he'll show up soon enough, said Match. But we've got to head back to Jacob's house to find something to carry to carry stuff. Sir Jacob Evans is counting on us. That's not the best place to go, though, said Pencil. It's crawling with villains. But Leidy had found a trash can earlier today. So you might want to head over to the Brampton suspension bridge. Will do, said Jacob. And thanks for the help, Pencil. Now you best stay in hiding in case anyone tries to find you. Pencil set off once again, and Jacob and Match hopped back into Thomas and they set off once again. On their way to the Brampton suspension bridge, they came across the damaged Shoppers Drug Mart. How terrible that this had happened, said Jacob. I hope it gets rebuilt. Same, said Thomas, and they set off again. Just as Pencil had predicted, Leidy was near the Brampton suspension bridge. Leidy, said Thomas, it's good to see you. With all that's going on? Asked Leidy. Yeah, perfect timing to say that. But is this for something important? Yes, said Thomas. I need you to come with me, Jacob, and Match, and bring the trash can too. It's for something important. Okay, said Leidy. But what's going on down over there? Thomas looked over and saw Austin, Page, and Bear with Anthony, Joseph, Harry, and Bert all together by the bridge. Oh no, said Jacob. They found Austin, Page, and Bear. I'll ask you for the last time, said Anthony. Where is Jacob? Where did he go? And who is he with? They're not going to answer your questions, said Harry. They're just not the type of people, said Bert, and they probably don't know anyway. I'll see about that, said Anthony, and he kicked all three of them very hard. Tell me what you know. But all three grew cross. Don't give me those looks, shouted Anthony. I know you know something, and if you won't tell me, I'll find out by force. Just then Anthony saw that the bridge was over water. Perfect timing, said Anthony devilishly. All right, speak now, or forever hold your breaths, because you'll need it. Austin, Page, and Bear suddenly grew nervous, and Bear was the first to run away. There we go, said Anthony. Now that means I mean business. Now speak. I can't hear you. Anthony, is it really necessary for you to get Jacobs? Asked Joseph. Maybe we should just take them prisoner normally. I want answers. Opaline wants answers, and I'm going to get them, shouted Anthony. But Paige ran away too before Anthony could get her to talk. No, said Thomas. No, he can't do that to them. Anthony's not nice, but he certainly wouldn't do that, said Jacob. All right, one last person. Now talk. But Austin said nothing, and he ran off too. That's it, shouted Anthony. Get back here. But Anthony tripped over and fell on his face, and Austin, Page, and Bear had gotten away already. Jacob, Thomas, and Match were horrified. They had never seen anything like it. Even Lydie was surprised by what she had saw. What was that for? Asked Joseph. Yeah, said Airy. We needed them to answer our questions, not to run away. And what you did was uncalled for, said Bert. They didn't do anything to you. They deserved it, though, said Anthony. When I want answers, I get answers, no matter how I do it. Just then, Misty walked over. Jacob, Thomas, Match, she said. You need to get out of here right now. Take Match and leave at once. Opaline and Anthony are looking for you, Jacob. And if they find you, they will get you. What? How do you know that? asked Thomas. I was part of Opaline's team, said Misty. And she's been telling lies to me, and I know they're not true. So get out of here before you get caught. Very well, said Jacob. And Lydie, Jacob, and Match climbed aboard, and Thomas set off. When they arrived back at the forest, Sir Jacob Ems and the Garden Scotsman were waiting for them. Great. All right, said Jacob. We managed to find Lydie, and she has her trash can with us. Very excellent, said Sir Jacob Ems, and we're one step closer to getting the gold dust away. But what's with those faces? Anthony arrived with Joseph, Airy, and Bert, said Thomas, and they made Bear, Page, and Austin in that order run away. Sir Jacob Ems was surprised. Well, this is the perfect example of how not to run a city, said Sir Jacob Ems. But we can't lose focus yet, said the Garden Scotsman. We have a city to save. That's just what I want to hear, said Sir Jacob Ems. We'll find where they are later on. Now, Lydie, hand over your trash can. We've got to fill it with gold dust. All right, said Lydie. Let's get to work. Meanwhile, Misty was still sneaking around, trying not to be seen. Opaline thinks that I'm at the bottom of the ocean right now, she said to herself. The best I can do now is help Jacob, Thomas, Match, and Lydie, and in any way that I can. Well, look who finally showed up, said Anthony. I knew you'd have to come to a restaurant eventually, and that means you'd have to come here. But Misty was more crossed and scared. You and Opaline have been telling lies to me, she said, and you guys have been saying that this city is garbage, that has been garbage this whole time. It is garbage, said Anthony. And why do you care anyway? You're supposed to be at the bottom of the ocean by now. It looks like Airy and Bert didn't do their one job. And also, they, along with Joseph, went to tell on me to Opaline because you forced Bear, Page, and Austin to run away, huffed Misty crossly. That's because they were going to take your place at the bottom of the ocean, Misty, said Anthony. How does that make you feel? Opaline felt bad, but she wasn't going to let Anthony talk her down. It doesn't make me feel anything, she said. Oh, you and Opaline have been lying to me this whole time, and now I know that's not true. I'd rather be dead than help Opaline. And Misty ran away. Bold words for someone who almost met the same fate, smiled Anthony, and he chased after him. At the city center, Opaline was handing out duties. Carl, she said, you can rob banks so we don't run out of money. Sam, round up the remaining people and prepare them for imprisonment. Norman, you stay at the abandoned Sears and make sure those prisoners don't even think about going anywhere. And George, I wanted all roads back to our city destroyed at once, and don't mess up like you did earlier. You got it, boss, said George. I won't let you down. Just then, Joseph, Airy, and Bert arrived. Ah, excellent, said Opaline. Did Anthony arrive too? She did, boss, said Joseph. Excellent. I'll have time for for what happened on your end when I get back. Come along, Miss Uzma. We have sightseeing to do. Guys, said Norman when he arrived. Did Opaline and Uzma just leave? Yes. Why? The prisoners escaped. What? How's that possible? I don't know. They must have snuck out through one of the doors. But don't just stand there. Help me look for them. Meanwhile, everyone, Percy, Needle, Lollipop, Pencil, Dazzle, and Abby were at Jacob's house. Do you know where Jacob is? Asked Needle. He'll be back soon, said Pencil, and we mustn't lose all hope. Stop it, said Dart. Opaline said no talking, so no talking. Everyone suddenly saw him. Would you relax? Asked Percy. We've been through this before. And I'm sure Jacob and Sir Jacob Ems will think of something. Stop it, said Dart, or else I'm going to report you to Opaline. Oh, we don't care about what you say, said Lollipop. You're going to complain about everything, it feels like. Dart was losing patience. Meanwhile, Sir Jacob Ems had finished loading the gold dust into Leidy's trash can. Excellent work, said Jacob. Now we gotta get going to find a place to hide this gold dust. Good luck, you guys, said Sir Jacob Ems. And Leidy, Jacob, and Madge climbed back on board Thomas, and they set off again. All right, said Sir Jacob Ems. Now let's go join the rest of Brampton into taking down the villains. And Sir Jacob Ems and the guarding Scotsman set off. Meanwhile, Thomas had arrived at where they had entered the forest. Suddenly, he, along with the other three, saw Opaline and Uzma heading straight for them. Let's get out of here, said Thomas, and he raced away as fast as he could. Ah, here we go, said Opaline. This path looks oddly suspicious, don't you think? I guess, said Uzma. I didn't have time to check this path, though, because there were always people going down it. But Opaline didn't listen. All right, I need to check on something for a moment. Make yourself useful somewhere else. Okay, said Uzma, but she didn't understand why Opaline wanted to be left alone. Opaline grinned devilishly. At last, she said, This is where all of the gold dust is kept, and it's going to be mine. On that topic, gold dust collecting will be a good hobby while I'm in charge of the city. And with the power I'll have, I'll be unstoppable. The guarding Scotsmen were picking up speed as Sir Jacob Ems ran behind them. Look out, sir, they said. There's Opaline ahead. Sir Jacob Ems grew cross. Ram her, he shouted, and don't let her get past. Opaline saw the guarding Scotsmen coming. All right, looks like they're coming. So, here I come! And Opaline shot forward. The guarding Scotsman and Opaline ran towards one another at frightening speeds and were ready to attack. Opaline tried to get the guarding Scotsman, but the guarding Scotsman ducked down and made her trip over, sending her into the pond, as they went on unharmed. Well done, said Sir Jacob Ems, and great work, you three. Opaline was furious. No, she shouted, this isn't how it's supposed to end. Should we keep an eye on her, sir? They asked. No need to, said Sir Jacob Ems. She's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now let's go find Jacob, Thomas, Match, and Lydie and alert them of the news. Meanwhile, at Jacob's house, everyone was growing impatient. Dart had grown bored and was telling them about how he and Norman escaped Anthony. Boy, it was a close one, said Dart, but Opaline's quick thinking helped us get me and Norman escape. Ah, groaned the citizens. Hey, said Dart, it's a true story. Just then, Pencil had an idea. So, Dart, she said, you and Norman were almost destroyed, but don't you think it's ironic that Opaline wants to do the same to us? Not really, said Dart. She helped us escape because we were valuable, but she wants to destroy you because she knows that there's no way you can be really useful. Just you wait, said Dazzle. You'll see. I think it's time you and I had a one-on-one talk, said Pencil, and talk about how much of a monster Opaline is. She's not a monster, said Dart. She's basically doing the right thing. It's not the right thing to us, said Needle. Opaline is nothing but a coward, said Pencil. Dart walked up closer to Pencil. I'll have you know, he said, that Opaline is... Now, shouted Abby, and Pencil grabbed onto Dart, and at the same time James Almendinger ran up and punched Dart right onto the ground. Yes, everyone shouted, and Pencil was surprised. James Almendinger, she said, I never thought I'd see you again. Indeed, said James Almendinger. I heard about the trouble that was happening, and I thought I'd come to help. Well, that was really brave of you, said Lollipop. I think we owe you an apology. Don't say anything. Don't mention it, said Pencil. But in order for us to keep Brampton safe, we must work as a team from now on. What do you say to that? Agreed, said everyone. Now let's go find Jacob and get our city back, said Percy. Well, it's about time we finished what we started. I've been looking forward to this for many months. Oh, hey, George, said Neely. I was wondering where you went. Oh, hi, Neely, said George. I've been away for a while. I'm glad Sir Jacob Ems brought you back, said Neely. We've missed your company while we've been busy. Yes, said George impatiently. But, Neely, let's continue this conversation somewhere else so I'm not stuck in the middle of the road here. But Neely wouldn't move. Where have you been all this time? She asked. You've been gone for forever, it seems like. I'll tell you in just a moment, but I was... Oh, no, said the guarding Scotsman. We hit a steamroller in the middle of the road, Sir Jacob Ems. We didn't mean for this to happen. But Sir Jacob Ems just laughed. That used to be a steamroller I knew, he said, but he's been in hiding for quite some time. I think George was heading over to destroy the roads that led to the other city. Probably a duty from Opaline. You've stopped something major from happening, guarding Scotsman, and I'm impressed with how you stopped him, Naley. It was nothing, said Naley, but I'm surprised by what they did. Indeed, said Sir Jacob Ems, nothing can stop the guarding Scotsman, apparently. Now let's get moving back to the city center. Meanwhile, Thomas, Jacob, Match, and Liney were trying to find a place to hide the trash can from the rest of the gold dust, but up ahead of them, Misty and Anthony were heading straight for them. Well, this can't be good, said Thomas. Misty, stop! But Misty didn't have time to stop. She and Thomas ran into one another, and the trash can shot into the air. When it landed back on the ground, it and spilled out. Gold dust flew everywhere. I'm sorry, Jacob and Thomas, said Misty. I tried to stop, but I'm glad you and the others are okay, and... Whoa, that's something I don't see every day. Thomas, Jacob, Match, and Liddy were covered in the gold dust that had spilled out. Whoa, they said. Now this is something. Anthony ran up, but then he suddenly came to a stop. He realized that if Jacob saw him, he was going to get caught. I'm out of here, said Anthony, and he backed up down the road. Just then, Donut, Page, Bear, and James Almendinger arrived. We're glad you and the other three are fine, Jacob, said Donut, but that's a very unique color for you guys. It's only temporary, I hope, said Jacob. And how did you and the others get out of the abandoned Sears, and how did Paige and Bear get back? We managed to find the two of us and Austin managed to find a way back, said Paige. And me and the others found a way out, said Donut. And we managed to catch the villains. And I see you caught one of them too. Oh no, said Jacob. Misty helped us when we were helped us get away from Anthony, Joseph, Ari, and Bert. But she did help Opaline, did she? Asked Donut. Misty was upset. Yes, she said, it is. I think Misty does have some sort of value, said Donut, but that's up for Sir Jacob Ems to decide. We've rounded up the villains at the city center, and Sir Jacob Ems is going to make an announcement soon. Very well, said Jacob. Sorry, Misty, we did the best we could. It's my fault, said Misty. Hopefully Sir Jacob Ems will keep me around. Now that we've got this out of the way, said James Almendinger, let's get going. We've got a meeting to get to. A short while later, they all arrived at the city center where everyone was. Sir Jacob Ems, the guarding Scotsman, Naley, James, Austin, Percy, Gator, and Douglas were all there waiting for them. Misty walked over to join the other villains. That appears to be all of them, said Sir Jacob Ems. Well done, everyone. And that's a unique color for you guys, said Austin. And I'm not sure if that's permanent. Don't worry, said Thomas. It's only temporary, I think. But what about you guys? Why are you guys here? Percy and I caught Carl robbing one of the banks, said Gator. We managed to intercept him outside and distract him while Austin and Naley managed to catch him and take all of the money back to the other banks that he robbed. What about James and Douglas? Asked Match. What's their story? We managed to find Sam, who has taken some of the citizens somewhere, said Douglas. We managed to catch him before he got away, and I took him back to the city center while James took the others back to a hotel to seek refuge. Well, that answers that, said Liddy. And Sir Jacob Ems is making his announcement right now. Sir Jacob Ems addressed the villains severely. This place is not a place for you guys to mess around, he said sternly. You have your own city, and I think you must stay there. As punishment, I want all of you gone right now. Wait, said Jacob. If it's okay, don't send Misty back. She helped me, Thomas, Match, and Lydy get away from Anthony, Joseph, Ari, and Bert. Without her assistance, we would have been caught. Sir Jacob Ems thought for a moment. Very well, he said. I will not send Misty back. However, she'll have a trial, just like every new person does. Misty was relieved. Thanks, Jacob, she said. I appreciate it. And James, said Sir Jacob Ems, it was my fault for not realizing that you were redeeming yourself earlier. In the future, I'll be as observant towards the redeemers as I am already with the current saviors. You can stay if you would like to. James Almendinger was surprised. He was hoping to be sent away with the other villains. Thanks, sir, he said. I won't let you down. As for the rest of you, I want you gone now, said Sir Jacob Ems. The guarding Scotsman will escort you to your bus immediately. This isn't over, shouted Opaline angrily. I know where that gold dust is located, and I'll get it next time for sure. Wait, gold dust? Asked Joseph. You were after gold dust this entire time? Why didn't you tell us that? Asked Sam. She lied to us, said Dart crossly. She wanted the gold dust all to herself. Nayli laughed. That's gonna be an awkward trip back, she said. By that evening, everything had returned to normal and everyone was free. Later, Sir Jacob Ems arrived with important news. I know this whole day has been a roller coaster for you guys, he said, but I'm very impressed with how everyone managed to persevere. I know I say this a lot, but this time I mean it. You are all really useful citizens. Austin and Paige were great too, said Jacob. They wouldn't dare give Anthony any information about the whereabouts of me, Thomas, Match, and Lydy. I'm proud of them too, said Lollipop. And they always knew what to say then, said Pencil, without even saying anything. But what about Anthony? Asked Jacob. Where did he go? We haven't been able to find him yet, said Sir Jacob Ems. Perhaps he disappeared when he figured out that Opaline wasn't going to be victorious. But I have other people searching, so don't worry. And Thomas, Jacob, Match, and Lydy, I need you guys at the airport tomorrow to see my cousin off for now. His visit is coming to an end. We will do that, sir, said Thomas, and you can be sure of it. The next morning, Sir Jacob Ems, Jacob, Thomas, Match, and Lydy made their way to the airport where Martin Coleman was ready to leave. He had enjoyed his trip to Brampton. Martin, said Sir Jacob Ems, once again, I apologize for what has happened. Is there anything I can do for you before you leave? No, said Martin. This whole visit was excellent, despite the fact that that alicorn nearly ran me over. But, said real-life Jacob, Fiery and Leafy did find you. Yes, said Martin, and they let me stay with them overnight. So, said Thomas, you did enjoy the visit to Brampton after all, did you? Yes, said Martin Coleman. I suppose I did. Have a good trip back, said Lottie, and we look forward to seeing you again, said Match. I'll take my time planning the visit, that's for sure, said Martin, and he went inside to catch his plane. That afternoon, they made their way to Yorkdale Station where the Garden Scotsmen were. So they're still guards? Asked Jacob. Yes, and we're good at it, said the Guarding Scotsman. It's a job that works for us. They're here to make sure the villains don't try to plan anything else, said Sir Jacob Ems. We ban them from using every way to travel except for the train, and they're here to make sure they don't come back. If all goes well, we won't have to deal with them again. And now Gordon doesn't need to plan any secret trips, said Thomas. The Garden Scotsmen are just at Yorkdale. When they made their way back to Brampton, construction at Shoppers was going on. "Come on, George," said Benny. "You need to do better than that." "I'm trying," huffed George. "It's much easier destroying buildings than it is fixing them." "I figured that since he helped with the plans, he could help with the reconstructing," said Sir Jacob Ems. "I like it," said Thomas, and he set off again. When they arrived at the Bramley City Center that evening, Sir Jacob Ems met up with 4 and X. "You two," said Sir Jacob Ems. "I need to talk with you." "About what?" said Ford. "I wanted to apologize for accusing you of helping Opaline with her plans. It was unprofessional of me. And I wanted you to know that I will trust you from now on." "We'll accept that," said X. "Excellent," said Sir Jacob Ems. "I'll see you two around." And 4 and X set off. "That went well," said Jacob, "and I'm surprised." "Me too," said Sir Jacob Ems, "but I can't be blamed for believing they were part of the plan. They were evil in the past, so I had to assume this again." "Turns out they were telling the truth," said Thomas, "for once in their lifetimes." "Hello, sir," said Misty. "Me and James are on our way to Ottawa, just like you requested." "Excellent," said Sir Jacob Ems. "You guys aren't up to professional Brampton standards because the other city hasn't been managing you guys well, so you'll be there for a little bit. I'll see you when you get back." And Misty and James Almendinger went to catch their bus. And by the late evening, Sir Jacob Ems, Thomas Leidy, Match, and Jacob made their way back to where the forest was. "You 4, said Thomas, Leidy, Match, and Jacob, said Sir Jacob Ems. "I'm very proud of you guys. Because of all of you, Brampton has been saved. And because you guys saved it, it will live to see tomorrow. And if Opaline ever decides to show her face and her friends around here again," said Jacob, "we'll be ready for her." "Well, I think it's time I head back home," said Sir Jacob Ems. "I'm sure Ms. Bridie and the rest of my family missed me." And Sir Jacob Ems walked away. "And I guess it's time for me to head home too," said Thomas. "I've got a lot to say." And Thomas set off too. "I'll see you guys around," said Leidy. "My team will surely love to hear the story." And Leidy set off as well. "And I'll see you around too, Jacob," said Match. "And I can't wait for the next adventure that we take too," said Jacob. "See you soon." And he watched as Match walked away. Jacob stayed where he was for several minutes. Brampton, there were no invaders. Everyone was free, and everything was still being repaired. Everything was back to normal. Even in times when when it's so dire, it doesn't look like we'll make it through. Brampton, Ontario is a fighter, and that is true. These people are great in every way, and I'm glad to stand beside them. Long live Brampton, Ontario! We'll sing a song for Jacob. After 5 years, he's proud. He's a friend who's blue, a friend who's true, and his call is really loud. And after half a decade, we never forgot his name. So when we've sung for Jacob, well, let's sing it once again.